Larry has been turning for 30 plus years.
Yeah, pretty close, 30, 20, 28,
Yeah.
28.
Well, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
And is there anything else you'd like to tell them about yourself before you start?
No, I'm not sitting up here because I mean to be boss or something. I'm sitting up here because it's handy to where I'm going to do the demonstration, and I had to take a little, this sitting on this high stool makes it easy on my knee. I do, however, have good news. I was discharged from therapy yesterday. So I'm I'm done with the therapy. Now they told me it'll take 9 months to a year to get better. So that's what we're looking forward to. If somebody would be good enough, I made 30 copies, and I think that'll be enough for everyone to have one. And this is just an FYI thing. I sat down one day, I was thinking about this, and I thought of all the ways that came to my mind without doing any researching of how you can color wood or enhance wood. It isn't always about coloring. There's a lot of coloring done nowadays. I remember way back, probably the first symposium I attended was in Orlando, Florida, and that goes back a half a lifetime. And you mentioned coloring wood, and the real wood turners don't color wood. Wood is much too valuable, and for years the professionals, the people that are seriously doing this for a living, would have nothing to do with colored wood at all. And then some amateurs came along, and or guys like me and you and so on, started coloring some wood, and it started showing up at symposiums, and it started showing up in galleries, and it started selling for serious money. And suddenly the professionals decided that, yeah, coloring wood is okay. So the question of to color or not to color, that is a question that is entirely up to you. There are some very good reasons for coloring wood. Occasionally, you'll find a piece of totally lackluster wood. It shows you nothing. And you look at this and you say, if I turn this thing, I can't get $3 for it. But with a little finesse and a little ingenuity, you can turn that into a rather expensive piece of wood. Another reason I think for enhancing wood is sometimes I sometimes simply get tired of going round and round. You know, the lathe just goes round and round and round, and I think to myself periodically, you know, I'd like to add a little something to this. That's how I got started in it. I got started by wanting to maybe add a little to it. And I think if you're a wood turner, there's a little bit of an artistic bent in your soul. I mean, I haven't met a wood turner that doesn't have a sense of creativity, that isn't looking to express themselves through what they're doing, or to express ideas or philosophies or whatever. And this is a way, it's a way to do that. It's also a way for you to push the envelope. So up until now, maybe you've just been, you know, turning wood and doing very well, and I am amazed at the quality of work that's coming out of this club. I mean, it is amazing to me. You guys are, many of you have passed me, and I've been turning almost as long as some people in here. except Bill Ford. He's been turning longer than I have, and I'll never will catch him, because he can do it in precision. But sometimes you want to push the envelope. You want to drive yourself a little. You want to go a little further. And so a way to do this is to do some enhancing and take up some things. I have saved a lot of wood from the burn pile by coloring or enhancing it in one way or another. It doesn't mean that you don't make mistakes and that you don't have problems. You do. The sheet I passed around are some of the available items or media with which you can color or enhance wood. And you will see on there that some things I actually recommended a brand, not because that's the best, but because that's what I have experience with and I know it works. I must also tell you that I have not done everything that's on there. And I must also tell you that nothing I am going to do tonight is unique with me. I have learned it from someone else. I have learned it from research and study and so on. And we're not going to do much turning tonight. We're going to do a little bit, but we are going to use the lathe. And so I brought along a couple examples of things that you can do. Here's a bowl. It's very simple bowl. Not a lot of, there's some figure, and it would be okay. It would stand on its own, but a little turquoise inlay around the rim, to me, makes a world of difference. And it sort of draws your eye to the right place on the bowl. So I would call that something of an artistic enhancement. I brought this along because this is one of my great failures. Well, it isn't totally a failure. This is one of the pieces of wood that you also very kindly made me a present of, and I had high hopes for this. As I got started in it, I found some really soft wood in it. And I thought, well, I don't think what I had intended to do was going to work. So what I did was I used it as a piece in which I can show you some of the things that you can do. The cat and nine tails are copper inlay, copper powder inlay. Now, copper powder, sand, all kinds of things that you can use to inlay with, you have to be really, really careful. If you buy copper powder, it's going to be 325, minus 325 mesh. If you just go on the internet and say, oh, there's some copper powder, I'm going to buy it, it's minus 325 mesh, and you're going to have trouble with it, because it will not allow the super glue to get all the way down to the bottom. So if you look on that sheet, you will notice that I specified minus 100 mesh copper powder, brass powder, aluminum powder, talcum powder, any kind of metal inlay. You want it to be a little heavier rather than a little finer. You don't want it to be like flour when you put it in there. And in addition to that, the little figures here on the side are in this case Mohawk epoxy, which is on the list. Milliput is another one. Milliput's about twice or three times as more expensive than the Mohawk, and this is the two-part epoxy putty that you cut off a piece and you knead the heck out of it. You just keep kneading and kneading and kneading, and you got to always remember that every time you squeeze that thing, it's closer to setting up. So you don't want to cut off a real big piece and plan to do your whole project in one sitting.
Does the Mohawk come in colors?
Mohawk does come in colors. It comes in a fair number of colors. I don't think it comes in as many colors as Milliput. Milliput comes in a wide variety of colors. Also, we're going to be doing this enhancing of the grain tonight, so I won't talk any more about that. If anybody really falls in love with this piece, they're welcome to take it along home. If I don't take it home, I'm not going to be too upset. This is stone and aluminum powder or silver powder. I call it silver powder, but it's not silver powder. It's not real silver. Inlay on a piece of babinga in which the grain has also been highlighted with a gilding cream. We're going to do that. We're going to do that tonight. I think this is calcite and aluminum powder, and I just made a rim, and that kind of enhanced that. Now I want to talk a little bit about, here's a piece. The simplest way to color is take spirit dye, either artisan or chestnut. Those are the only two. I'm sure there's others, but those are the only two I have ever used. I have absolute faith in them, and just have at it. Just dab it on with a paper towel. Just dab it on, and you can do all kinds of interesting things.
What kind of wood is best for that, Larry?
Beg pardon?
What kind of wood is best for that?
A light-colored wood usually works better, like walnut or cocobolo. Well, you're not going to color cocobolo most likely, but the darker woods do not show as brilliant. And of course, the thing I'm going to do tonight, you have to have open grain. You have to have an open grain wood, so you have to have oak or ash or something like that. Finally, we're going to use an airbrush tonight, but we're not going to use it as an airbrush. We're only going to use it for air. Let me tell you that if you're going to attempt what we are going to do here tonight, you do not have to buy a $175 Iwata gun and probably, $250 Iwata compressor. You don't have to do that. You can go out to Harbor Freight if you have a 20% coupon and you're a member of the club, and you can get a compressor and an airbrush that'll do perfectly well what we're going to do tonight for probably in the neighborhood of 40 or 45 bucks if you catch them on a good day, or if you belong to the members club, which I do, and you get the coupon and everything, you can do well. However, if you're going to do this kind of work with an airbrush, your Harbor Freight isn't going to work too good because you don't have the precise control that is required to do something like this. To paint clouds, to do some some precise painting and so on. You might have to step up to a Badger or a Pasha, which are less expensive than Iwata, although not a lot less. If you're only going to buy one airbrush and you have deep enough pockets and you're going to do some serious airbrushing. If you're a Ben Poe, may he rest in peace, then you're going to want to buy an Iwata. And if you look at any of his videos, or if you have any of his DVDs, I do have a couple. He did the Oriental theme thing in honor of his homeland, and so on. And I mean, just an absolute master. Just absolutely, with an airbrush, he was unbelievable. That's that. Okay, to get to it, this is what we're trying for tonight. And these things, for whatever reason I don't know, this has come to be called cosmic clouds. And anywhere anywhere you look on the internet, if you just Google cosmic clouds, something like this is going to come up, and you're going to see people doing what we're going to do here. But we're going to do more than that. I'm going to show you, or try to show you, in the time we have, and I picked a small piece, how you do all the steps, the back and the front. And you're welcome to look at that. That one's finished. That one's lacquered and everything. We're going to use this, which is a nice piece of ash. And the important thing to make this work is you need the you need the grain lines. So what I did so far was I turned this, sanded it to 400 grit, because I couldn't do all that here tonight. Like some of you actually have things you have to do tomorrow, and I can't let you go at 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow morning and expect you to get on. So I already did part of it at home. I turned it, I sanded it, and I painted this, the front, black. Now this is black lacquer. You don't have to use black lacquer. Anything that will make this black, India ink works wonderful. And incidentally, if you buy India ink, buy Speedball. It is, and you go on Amazon and you can get a pint of black Speedball for, I don't know, $7 or something like that. It is not expensive. You can also get India ink in various colors. And you can use India ink. You can use plain old black paint. Gloss, semi-gloss, no gloss, matte, it doesn't matter. Because the only black you're going to see is that rim and this little rim here. And whatever you want that to be, however you want that to be, and you can add gloss to that with the lacquer anyway. So it doesn't matter. So what we do, let's get at this.
Larry, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Where do you get your chestnut stains?
Beg pardon?
Chestnut.
Chestnut stain comes from Wood World of Texas. It is the only place currently in the United States that I know of that you can buy it. Now, I recently bought some from them. What I used previously was shipped from England. I bought it from the Tool Post in Northumberland, I think. I just kind of forget. The guy that runs that, very nice guy, runs that. And I called him, and he told me that he could ship 750 milliliters was the max that he could ship. And so I bought from him. Now I buy it from Wood World, Texas, and it is a whole lot cheaper because you don't have to get it from England over to the United States through customs and all of that stuff. So Wood World of Texas, I believe they're in Dallas, and that is that they have a fair variety of chestnut products now. I am partial to chestnut products. They're British, but they're cool.
And what's a good source for the colored sand or the gem inlays?
Beg pardon?
Colored sand or gem inlays source?
Wood World of Texas also. That's a product that Jimmy Clues. That's a product that Jimmy Clues sort of developed. It's synthetic sand. It's synthetic sand, as you might have guessed. All right, let's see how it runs. Give her a little speed here, and here we go. Not too bad for having sat a week or better. Okay. The very first thing you do on the raw wood, if you're going to do what I'm doing, the very first thing you do on the raw wood is you burn the grain. You try to burn the grain. That doesn't mean that you're going to be able to stay right on those lines. And I've seen lots of people do it. A lot of this I learned from Jimmy Clues. This procedure, he uses a propane torch. In fact, I've seen him use MAP gas. I like the little micro torch better myself. I find that I can control it a little better. It takes me a little longer, but hey, oh, he's wild with it. This has a pretty. Now what we're trying to do here, what we're working for is those grain lines. We're trying to get some burn on those grain lines. You have to look at it and see which way they're going. Where's my safety glasses? There they are. I should not be doing this without glasses, by the way. You see what I'm doing? I'm following the large grain, the open grain. And I'm trying to get it to burn more than the surrounding area. You look at it a little and see, you know, some places are going to be a little lighter. You try to darken those a little. You get them a little too dark like I did right there. It's not the end of the world on a project like this. Got that one too hot. If you smell burning wood, there's a reason for that. Incidentally, these little micro torches that run on butane, you can buy them for around 12 bucks at Harbor Freight, and they work perfectly well. This one did not come from Harbor Freight. I have one that did. It works just as well, if not better, than this one, which was considerably more than the Harbor Freight model. I think it's more precise, actually, than this. Okay, for the sake of what we're doing here tonight, we're going to call that done. Now we give that a little chance to cool a bit because it's a little warm. And now Jimmy Clues would say, the next thing we have to do is nip it off. And that is remove the excess charcoal that's on there. See the black on the
assuming it's a fine pad?
Beg pardon?
Is that a fine pad?
That is an ultra fine pad. White is the finest available as far as I know. That's good enough. Don't fall over that, Larry. Now, if you're doing this sort of thing, you want to get your gloves. I get my gloves at Harbor Freight. I watch for a sale. I buy the cheap ones. I buy the 3mm because I go through them. I go through them like crazy, and you will go through them like crazy if you're going to do any coloring or things. And I watch for the sales, and when they are, and I have a coupon, then I go out and buy 3 or 4 boxes of them at one time. Okay. Next thing we do is seal this with sanding sealer. I'm going to use cellulose sanding sealer. That's not my favorite. I prefer, as most of you know, the shellac-based sanding sealer. I'm using it for 2 reasons. Essentially, it's lacquer. It dries almost instantly. And it is compatible with any finish. I don't know of any finish that cellulose sanding sealer is not compatible with. Particularly, of course, it loves lacquer. And we're just going to put some on here, not too much.
What brand are you using on that?
This is Mylan's, and this is Mylan's, thinned, 50-50 with lacquer thinner. We don't want to go too. You don't want to get too ambitious with this, but you have to cover everything.
How does that compare with de-waxed shellac?
With what?
De-waxed shellac for a sealer,
I don't know.
like seal coat.
I don't know, Murray, because I haven't used that. I customarily use only shellac, and I use about a 1.5 pound cut, and I generally make my own. I grind the shellac flakes at a coffee bean grinder, mix it with denatured alcohol, let it sit till it's dissolved, and I'm good to go. And I usually make it about 70-30. Okay, I think we have that covered. Boy, I'll tell you, I lose more. They ought to sell these caps by the 100 bag. You know, if you're like me, you're always losing one. Now we're going to take a clean spot on our little pad here, and this is dry. The nice thing about cellulose is it dries instantly. And we're going to nip it off again. Okay, one form of enhancement is done. Burning grain. Anybody can do that, and you don't have to go any further. You can stop right here and finish it up nice, maybe sand it a little, maybe lighten a few of these of the spots that you overburn. With what I'm going to do, that doesn't matter. But we're going to go a step further now. We're going to use a gilding cream. There are 2 types that I am familiar with, one that I have experience with. Tonight we're going to use the one I don't have experience with because I want to know how it works. This one is a blue metallic. There are a number of colors available. Jimmy Clue's Metallic Cream Filler. And this comes from Wood World of Texas, and that little now it goes a ways, but that little jar is somewhere in the neighborhood of $12 to $13. This is called Metallic Luster Cosmic Blue, and this comes from Hobby Lobby, and it's somewhere around $4.95 for a whole lot more. Now, will it work? We're about to find out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure this gets rubbed in to all of the places where there's open grain. You want to have your gloves on for this. This is not as good, as I can tell you right now, as the gilding cream or the filling cream from Wood World, but it goes on a heck of a lot faster. So if this doesn't work, you'll know it at the same time I know it, because I have not heretofore used it. I just picked it up, I saw it, I picked it up, and I thought, you know, if that stuff would work, that would be a wonderful saving, because you lose a fair bit of this, and most of it's going to go to waste. Well, kind of go to waste. I don't have to worry too much about this in here. Somebody is welcome to take this home and finish it when we're done. We're not going to finish it. Like I said, some of you have things to do tomorrow. I should have brought my light. I could use a little more light. Light is really important when you're doing this kind of work.
You thrive for a real good uniform base?
No. I'm trying to get it into that grain. The grain that I burned.
Okay.
I'm trying to get it to go into that grain. I'm trying to see that there are no spots where I burned the grain that aren't filled.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to fill the grain that I burned. You need to take a little time to do this. You can, if you look carefully, you can see where it's not down in the grain.
Larry,
That's why I use so many gloves.
could you use that if you didn't burn it?
You could.
Put it on
You could,
regular
but you'll
wood.
have to seal it first.
Okay.
Always have to seal it first. Yes, you could put it on, and I have done that. That Babinga bowl that went around with the calcite stone. That's the pearl cream, I think. Simply simply work down into the grain, and there's not really a lot of grain. I mean, there is grain in that, but okay, take a smooth paper towel, fold it up really good, because I'm so used to pushing I can't get on to pulling. And what you're going to do is strike it off, and it's not going to strike off good. So now we know that the Harbor Freight stuff does not work well. It's too aggressive. Hobby Lobby. I have Harbor Freight in my mind. Hobby Lobby does not. I should be pulling color off of everything but that grain, and I'm not doing that. See, I should be pulling the color off, and I'm not pulling it off. There it started to pull off. But you should see wood under there. So don't go by the Hobby Lobby stuff to do this. This is what you should see, and you're not seeing it. Now, I can take some of that off of there, but I'm not gonna do it, because this is how it should have come out. That's how it should have come out. It's not going to. Unless I remove it, unless I use a little thinner of some kind to remove some of it, and we're not gonna take time to do that. So that doesn't work. Although it's not a bad blue when you get right down to it.
How about a woven pad today? Take it off?
It would take some off, but it's not gonna take. I probably should have sealed. Actually, I kind of like that blue. I probably should have sealed it a little more. Well, let's get to the reason we're here. There's one place I pulled some off the wood. Okay, you want to turn that fan on and give me a little, blow a little air here. The only way you can keep from taking that off, that is with what you put on the grain and any others. The only way you can keep from taking that off is to coat it with something before you turn it around. Because if you get your hands there, you get it hot, you move on it, you're going to take it off. So I'm going to give it a very small shot of lacquer. So everybody take a deep breath. Hold your breath. Hold your breath. Give me another one of those. I just as soon not lacquer the club's lathe. Just a small shot. You may breathe.
Just to hold that?
No.
You got it?
No. I tell you what I need you to hold. Here. Come around the other side. I need you to hold that screw chuck so I can't turn it off.
Okay.
There we go. Now we got it. Now we got it.
Take a look at it.
It's pretty color. It's pretty blue, but it didn't do what it's supposed to do. Didn't do what it's supposed to do.
You use fine sandpaper or?
Oh yeah, you could sand that. You could sand that down. I hope somebody will take it home and do that to it. 'Cause I don't want to take it home.
I have another question. I live in Shippensburg, and it's limited in things, and I don't find deft anymore. I used to be able to buy it at Lowe's. Where do you get your deft?
Amazon.com. Same place I got my knee from.
I think everybody's cooking now.
Do we have a tool rest? Do we have a tool rest? Is this the official tool rest that goes with this lathe?
Looks like it.
Yeah, believe it. Wow, that could use a little wax, couldn't it?
Should be a robust rest there too, Larry.
Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to establish the area that we're going to paint. And we're going to keep that area relatively small because here again, you know, I know some of you are going to drive an hour and a half or better to get home, and this will take a little while. So, we're going to establish an outside border right about there. And we're going to establish an inside border right about there. And we're going to hollow our center out right about there. Now I'm going to take a little bit out of the center. I finish the center before I proceed with the coloring. I don't lacquer because I lacquer everything when I'm done. But I finish the center, and heaven forbid I'm going to use a carbide tool. I was told not too long ago that real wood turners don't use carbide tools. Interestingly enough, I was told a number of years ago that real wood turners don't use scrapers. Well, if my history serves me correctly, wood turning began in Egypt about 1200 years before the birth of Christ. And from then until the late Industrial Revolution, all wood turners used scrapers. Now, and the first cutting tool to come into wood turning was the skew. And so real wood turners do use scrapers, and I use scrapers. I use scrapers a lot. I love scrapers, regardless of what real wood turners do. Sure, Bob.
Before you put the black lacquer on, do you spray the whole thing with sanding sealer?
Yes, yes, correct. Good question. Good question. Before you put the black lacquer, yeah, no, because it'll just suck it up. It'll just suck it up. And this has probably 5-6 coats on. And you'll never get it covered if you don't. Very good question. Yes, I would have forgotten that. All right, we're going to take a little bit of this center out here. We're going to try and use this little carbide tool here. I have a better carbide tool with me. It'll cut it faster. Homemade. Homemade. Now you have to use your imagination, please. I have taken that down to depth. That's the bowl. That's the center. That's this part. I have burned it and put the gilding cream on it. And I'm all done with that except for finishing it. Now comes the fun. I don't know whether to do this over there. Lee, where are you going to be able to see? Where are they going to be able to see best? Are they going to be able to see best if I do it on here or if I do it over there? I think I'll do it on the lathe bed.
Yeah, we've got a good view.
But pardon?
We've got a good view on the screen.
Okay, good. Good. Sorry about that. I need a little clean area here. That's not what I wanted to do. This is what I wanted to do. I wonder if I could turn that whole works off. Yeah, I can. It's what I would prefer to do. How about if we do this? If you're strong enough. How about if we work right here? That should be good. Okay. I didn't cut that too deep there. It was it was running out a little bit. Excuse me. The dust got me. Okay. What do we paint it with? If you look on the sheet that I gave you, you will see a Joe Sonja iridescent acrylic paint. And that is this stuff right here. And this is how you buy it in these little tubes. And they don't give it away. But it doesn't take much. This, in my opinion, I tried a couple others. In my opinion, this is the one that really works. So you can buy a set, and a set has a number of colors in, again, Amazon.com. And you also need to buy a bottle of Flow Aid, because you can't use this right out of the tube. You have to, it won't move properly, okay? And the next thing you need to do is you need to come up with something you can mix it in. And you need to label what you mix it in, because it all looks the same before you put it on here. Oh, Flow Aid. Flow Aid. Liquitex. Liquitex is everybody said, over at Howard's, they probably sell Liquitex. In Hagerstown, over at the art shop. You have art shops in York that I'm sure have it. It's a Flow Aid. Artists use it on a regular basis. Okay, so tonight we're going to use blue. We're going to use violet. We're going to use green. And we're going to use turquoise. How's that? Pretty good? All right, we'll start with blue. I don't need that cap. Hope there's some in there. Aha, there is. That is way more than enough. Next, we're going to go to violet. Getting over this is so much fun.
Larry, did you super glue that on?
Huh?
Did you super?
Yeah, I used some of that good super glue that you have. No, this is brand new. That says V. That's violet. That says violet. Iridescent is the key when you're buying your colors. If you don't choose to buy Joe Sonja and buy something else, if you want it to come out like that, you have to use iridescent. Okay, green is next. Again, we're going to have the lid problem. I had a lid boy to help me. I'm going to put green there. You can tell I've used more. Oh, I didn't need that much. No way. And finally, turquoise.
Larry, once that's mixed up, does it have a shelf life in your containers then?
Oh, I throw it away. Yeah, what I don't use, I throw away. I don't know if it has a shelf life or not. No, I don't think it does. I think by morning all the flow agent will have you know, it'll probably be a solid mass. I don't know. What's this turquoise?
You wash it out of your cups and reuse them, or just throw the cups away?
The what?
You wash it out of those cups?
Oh yeah, I can wash it out of the cups, but the cups are cheap. Yeah. No, don't use a paper cup. You'll get little pieces of paper will show up in the paint. Learn that the hard way. Learn that the hard way. Use a plastic of some kind. Now we have to put some flow, and this is by guess and by golly, is how much to use.
You got a good source for your plastic containers.
What, Bob?
Say a good source for plastic containers is McDonald's. You get the little things for ketchup and all.
Oh yeah.
They really work well for
Oh yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
Old medicine bottles.
Now, if you've looked at this, you notice that it all looks the same. There's no color there at all. Comes the fun. Use the same. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to move these to this side. Mix it up really good. If you see any lumps in it, keep mixing. Nelson, would you keep that thing from vibrating off of there for me? Take your airbrush and you can control the flow of air on this one by how hard you pull it back. Try to keep it out of the cracks. Although you can blow it out. If you get it in there, you can blow it out. And you'll see it change in color as I blow it around. All you're using this for is air. I've seen people do this with a straw, blowing it with their mouth. That is if you're really on a limited budget. That'll be good for blue, I think. Now, as you can see, I mixed way too much. Now, you can blow it out as hard as you want to. I don't blow it out. I like it to look like a cloud, so I like a little bit of white showing. This is super easy. I mean, so there I got some in the crack, I'll just blow it out. Okay, let's go for violet. How you doing over there, Nelson?
I'm not having any trouble.
You can set that down on the floor. You can set it down on the floor. It won't hurt. Yeah, it'll work. Well, I don't think it'll walk. That doesn't hurt anything. Set it down on the floor. It'll stay put on the floor.
The wonderful thing about doing this, if it doesn't come out the way you like it, you just put it back on the lathe and turn it on.
Exactly. That's why I didn't take it off the chuck. Yeah, put a little turquoise there. A little bit over here. I'm sorry, violet, not turquoise. We're doing violet now. We don't want to overdo the violet. I'll put a little there. How's that? Let's see how that works. Are you able to see the colors from where you're sitting? Can you see it happening? And it does, and you have to you overlap them a little. That's not a problem.
Is the first one pretty well dry?
Not yet. Not yet. I don't do anything with it overnight. I let it sit overnight before I lacquer it. Okay, let us do some green. This is totally random. There's no any way that suits you. Now I'm just using a little bit of air because I got too much on there. And I bled it over on my other colors, but that's all right. It'll still look all right once it's dry. Good move. Good call. Good call. If you blow it out over the edge, it's no problem. Just blow it back, and as long as it's still wet, you'll be fine. Now the turquoise. One of my favorites. And then you go back and fill in and touch up with your colors. That's why you keep all your colors here. And you're not limited to these colors. You can add red in here. You can add white. You can add pearl. Whatever these colors are available in, you just add them. The green I mixed a little thin. It's not covering as well as I wished it would. But we'll fix that. We'll add a nice little bit of turquoise, which is not properly stirred. Now what I could do with the green, which I'm unhappy with, is simply add some more green to that out of the tube and make it a little stronger. Okay, don't let me run off the end there. I knew I was getting close to the end that time. I let that on there, you can tell. So what you have to do is I left that on a little too long before I got to it with the blower, and it started to dry. So there was it left a little ring there. That's easily taken care of. Now, since I'm not seeing much green, I'm going to add a little more green paint to the mix here.
In the right bottle?
Huh? Yeah, I hope so. It said G. I hope that's green. I'd like to show a little more green. That's going to be a little better, I think. Oh, good, Larry. That's always smart. That's always smart. Look at your watch and upset the bottle. That's a little more green. That's a little better. Now, you don't have to cover every last spot.
They're trying not to overlap too much.
No, I am trying to overlap, actually. I'm letting it overlap. I don't always, but in this case, I'm working with such a small area, it's almost impossible not to. And it doesn't hurt anything.
When it overlaps, what's the end result? You get just the top color?
Yeah, you do. Well, you get the top color, you get more white. And of course, in clouds, there's always some white. At least I think there is. Unless it's a day like we had last week. See, I get it out there, I have to blow it back in. And you have to use some pressure when you do that. Now, this isn't going to be this isn't going to reach its full potential until tomorrow morning, when it is fully dry, and it's still got to look kind of yucky. It's going to be a little rough. So what you do with that is you do not try to sand it down. Just when you're putting it on, smooth it out as well as you can. And then spray lacquer. Spray. Don't rub it on. As you rub it on, you'll pick the color up and it's gone. It's gone. Bob must have some experience with that because he just raised his hand in full agreement.
The demo in Florida, Larry, the guy actually did design the colors. It's amazing.
Now, did he put color in the cup and put it on? Yeah.
He's also a commercial artist.
Yeah. That's the other. That is another way that you can do it. The only thing is you got to clean that cup out between each color. So you can't pre-mix your colors. You got to clean the cup out, or you need 4 or 5 airbrushes. And I've seen that. I've seen people that just have a whole row of airbrushes and they put the colors in there and then they go to it. Apparently they have more money than they know what to do with, and we need a little more violet right here. We got enough violet now. Now I do that, I going back over it while it's wet. I'm intentionally making it rough because I don't have a problem with that. I like that. Questions?
Let it dry 24 hours, huh?
Overnight. Overnight. Actually, it'll be dry. It'll be basically dry by the time somebody takes it. Whoever's going to take it. It's going to sit here and somebody's going to come up and pick it up and take it home and finish it. Put it on a chuck, clean this out. Well, I'm going to take it off the chuck. Oh, I'm going to take it off the chuck. I have too many takers.
That's right. Is it dry enough to tilt it so we can get a good shot of it?
Sure. Oh yeah, it won't run. It won't run.
Oh, that's pretty.
See now as it dries, it's starting to get a glow to it. See, it didn't have that at first, and the more it dries, the more that iridescence is going to come out. And it'll... Now, I of course worked much slower and more carefully when I did that one because I figure I had about an hour here or a little more. That any questions? Now I got to clean up this mess.